Welcome back, Buffalo sports fans, to another episode of Buffalo Sports Banter. Good week this past week for the Bills. Hunter, welcome back again. I mean, another episode. Here we are. We did end up last week having some conflict. We weren't able to do an episode. But with the season coming up, we're hoping that we do find a specific day. We're going to figure that out and everything for so you guys can know when these episodes are going to be coming out. But yeah, here we are, Sunday, the August 13th, day after Bills preseason game. Hunter, how you doing after the Bills win? And just a good day yesterday with weather, up and down. It rained a little bit, but also then the sun came out. So how was yesterday for you? And how you doing in general?
I'm doing well, and yes, it's great to be back with some game action. Of course, the last before yesterday was one many of us would like to forget, but I think we're ready to move past that, and we're on for another campaign. And so I know it doesn't count in the long run, but it's great to see the guys back on the field. And you know what? Even if it doesn't matter, we'll still take a W instead of an L.
Yeah. So, yeah, it's always good to have a win, no matter what, no matter if it's preseason or not. But it is good. It was good to see the guys out there, like you said. I mean, once you get that first game, even though it's preseason under your belt, that kind of I think you'll start to see people get away from the Bengals games. It's been a while, right? It's been a while since that game, but now we're in a new season. Got two more preseason games after this. Then we got that 1 week break that the NFL put in there in between preseason and regular season. Then it'll be week one by the time we know it, and we'll be counting down till MetLife, right? And Aaron Rodgers versus Josh Allen. So it should be a good one. But this past week, we obviously had the end of training camp into this preseason game, faced the Colts. It was a good game. There were some good highlight plays there and everything. But the big thing I want to just start off with, Damar Hamlin, he was returning to the football field, played for the first time, had 3 tackles. Just it's an awesome thing to see, be able to see him out there again. So, what were your initial thoughts on him being out there? Were you nervous at all watching him go out there, or just like waiting to see? Oh, is he, is it going to be? Is he going to be hesitant to go after him for the first time? So, what were your just thoughts on the accomplishment for Damar to be able to return to the football field?
Well, it's just absolutely spectacular. I think you have to give some credit to modern medicine and the training staff, especially led by, we know the name now, Denny Kellington. I saw a pregame; they had a nice moment, just a little slap up and like, hey, like we're back, and this thing is going to be, we're going to go back to what it was before January, and we're going to play some football. So that was really nice to see. And then he even made an impact. 3 tackles, I believe. One actually was to create a turnover on downs, if I'm not mistaken. So that was really nice to see him actually have a positive impact. And yeah, so I'm really happy to see him back, and I hope that he can kind of put what happened behind him, but realize that he's a valued part of this team and keep on being productive.
Yeah, and it is crazy because I think when it first happened right back in December, and then even like the month or two after that, I think a lot of people didn't think you'd see him on the football field at least for one full season, maybe if ever again. And for him to not even, I mean, obviously he missed, the last few games of the season last year, but
Be total, right?
yeah, exactly. But he didn't miss any games this season. He's not even missing a preseason game this season. That is unbelievable, and it is awesome to see. I think it's also for the players, the other players, to be able to see him out there. It kind of just, puts it into perspective of like, we're lucky to be playing this game. And as fans, we're lucky to be watching these guys play this game and put their bodies on the line for our entertainment, right? For everybody's entertainment. So it's awesome to see him back out there. Glad that he can start getting rolling again, and hopefully be impactful for the Bills this season, and kind of be there for everybody else too. I know that it's going to be hard for him to find a ton of playing time unless somebody gets injured because of how deep the secondary is, especially the safeties with Rapp and Hyatt and Poyer and everything. So it will be tough, I think, for him to get a lot of playing time this year unless there's an injury. But it's at least nice to know, he's there if we need him, right? He's there for even a few plays if somebody just gets banged up or whatever. So it's nice to have him out there. It's awesome to see him out there. Definitely inspiring story. I know that they'll probably do something. Another thing for him, maybe at the end of the season, with like a little video. If he ends up playing, a lot, or even if he doesn't, they'll probably end up still doing something for him, just because it is such an amazing story. So
I would even think maybe the home opener, week 2 versus the Raiders, you could see something of that nature, but we'll see.
Yeah, and hopefully, we don't have to have another situation like that again. It was definitely a scary one, obviously for everybody, for fans, for the organization, for his family, and just yeah, it's nice to be able to see him back on the football field and doing what he loves. So good to see that. But back to the game though, the what happened during the game, the Bills did win, right? They got the win 23-19. Um, you didn't see Josh Allen or Stephon Diggs. They didn't play, which I think a lot of people kind of expected. You don't want to see your star players in preseason. At least you don't need to see them week one in the preseason. You can wait till two or three, just get them a few snaps. You don't need them to play a lot. Although you did see some of the starters. So one of the starters that I did want to bring up just real quick was James Cook. Didn't play too much, 4 carries, 20 yards, 1 touchdown. So he did have a touchdown. But overall, this backfield looked pretty good. I mean, Latavius Murray looks like his legs are still there too. So just James Cook, Latavius Murray. I know that I believe actually Damian Harris. I don't. Does have an injury as well. So I don't know the status on him. I have to look that up. But did you have confidence just after watching just a little bit of these guys in the game? More confidence in the run game, or is it about the same?
I would say not a burst of anything, but I'm not worried by any means. I think Cook has really improved from that Week 1 fumble versus LA. I know that got a lot of people nervous, but he really showed some improvement. So I think uh, you could consider him the. I mean, not 100% defined, maybe quite yet RB1, but I feel like it'll turn out to be him with Harris right behind him. And I think uh, I mean, the battle was likely going to be between Murray and Evans for RB3. And I mean, they both, funny enough, ran for 18 yards. I feel like it's leaning in Murray's favor just because of the name recognition and also uh, the circumstances, but things could change. But no, I'm definitely liking where the run game is seeing itself at the moment.
Yeah, I will say with Latavius Murray, I think it's at first it was his name I think stands out. I think yesterday his numbers don't pop off, right? You don't look at him and be like, oh, he had an unbelievable game, but it looked like his legs are still there. I mean, I believe he's 34 years old. I'm actually going to check this, but I believe he's 34. Let me check this here. Yeah, he is more than that. Yeah, so he's 33 years old. 33 years old, and it looks like he's still got a lot of juice in the tank there. So that's a solid sign to see. It's nice to be able to see that they have some guys behind him that even if Cook did go down for a game or two, um, you'd have Harris and Murray there that I believe could be a sustainable backfield for Josh Allen. So it's nice to see that. I always love to see at least some of those guys see what they got left in the tank. So yeah, running back game. Not the biggest battle by any means that's going on in camp. I mean, I think everybody expects James Cook to have a big role in this offense with Harris and Murray kind of maybe being goal line guys or short yardage guys. Um, but there is a big battle that is going on, and it was I would say the talk of yesterday. I mean, it was probably the biggest turning point and slowly turning into the biggest, most talked about thing around Bills Mafia. And it is the quarterback two battle. It's Matt Barkley versus Kyle Allen. I think everybody, when Kyle Allen was signed, everybody automatically assumed Kyle Allen's going to be QB2. Now that now that they got a preseason game under their belt, they've gotten through training camp. It's now looking like this is a real battle for quarterback two. And with how the game went yesterday, Kyle Allen went 8 for 15, 122 yards, no touchdowns, and 1 interception. While Matt Barkley went 14 for 15, 172 yards, and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. So Matt Barkley played a great game. I think now it's a real thing to be talking about if Kyle Allen, because they're not going to keep three at all by any means. One of these guys will be a practice squad guy, and I think they would rather keep Barkley and then have Kyle Allen maybe go through waivers and be that practice squad guy, because I don't know if he would get picked up either way. I don't think either of them honestly would. So I think now that I'm leaning towards Matt Barkley is going to be quarterback too. Also, just because he knows the system a little bit better. Um, and they both got their ups and downs. We talked about this a little bit 2 weeks ago, right? Matt Barkley, as good as as old as he is and everything, he's still like we said, he knows the system. He can really sling it around. Sometimes he's this. I would say he's the smarter one out of the two, but Kyle Allen then has the ability to get out of the pocket, move around a little bit more than Matt Barkley would. So they each have their own different upsides to them. So what do you think about the quarterback two battle between Barkley and Allen? And do you have right now somebody who you're leaning towards heavily or a little bit, or just you're kind of in the middle?
Well, I mean, the best use of evidence is game action, and from yesterday, I think you would have to point to Barkley. Same amount of passing attempts, 15, and he completed six more with 14 15 versus Kyle Allen's 8 of 15. No interceptions, in fact, two touchdowns. So, and he does have the advantage of knowing the system, like you brought up, um, versus Kyle Allen, who doesn't. First year guy here in Buffalo. So I think if you're going to use the one game that you can, it would be Barkley. We'll see about Pittsburgh and Chicago, who gets some snaps there, and if the tides can turn. But funny enough, I would have thought, like you also said, that it would have been Kyle Allen. But if we're going to use what we saw yesterday, you have to say Barkley so far. So yeah, will be very interesting to see what transpires here in on the 19th and the 26th here in the last two preseason games to see where that might fall.
Yeah, I will give Kyle Allen the benefit of the doubt on the interception. It was a wide receiver screen for those who don't know. It did go through the receiver's hands. Wasn't the best throw by any means. It was definitely not. It looked like it was a little bit of a. He kind of tried to. He had to kind of throw it around. It didn't look like it was a natural screen. Just get boom, get it out. And it ended up did getting brought back for did get brought back for 6 points as well. So it was a pick six. But I will give him the benefit on the doubt there because even though it wasn't a perfect throw, it wasn't a perfect screen. It did hit his receivers in the hands. So I feel like if it hits you in the hands as a wide receiver in the NFL, you got to catch it. Um, so I'll give him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt there, but still, he didn't look that great especially compared to Barkley. So QB1, that's going to be one that we're definitely going to be keeping a huge eye on. And we say it all the time. At the end of the day, this battle shouldn't mean much for the Bills. Hopefully, it doesn't mean much. I think a lot of people would say the same thing. They hope that at the end of the season, we're looking back and being like, wow, the biggest battle that people were arguing about was the QB2 battle when we hopefully won't have to use either of them, right? Josh Allen should, we hope, stay in every game. But it is always good to, you want a good quarterback too, right? Last year they had Case Keenum, they traded for him. And I think he also didn't look as good as people would have hoped as a quarterback too. And then was it 2 years ago was Mitch Trubisky, I believe. And that was a year where everybody just knew, like, okay, if Allen goes down, at least Trubisky, he's proven that he can take a team to the playoffs. He's proven that he could be a serviceable backup. Excuse me. So I think this year is the first year where it's like you don't know. Right, the past 2 years we knew Case Keenum last year, and we knew that it was going to be Mitch Trubisky. So we'll keep looking at the QB2 battle. Obviously, they still got 2 more games to figure it out, and see what they're going to go with. However, there was another couple guys making their mark yesterday, and it's in the receiving room. And we talked a little bit about this as well 2 weeks ago with Shakir, Hardy, and Sherfield. But now I think it's a little bit of a different conversation. I think, you have the 5 that are solidified in Diggs, Davis, Sherfield, Hardy, and Shakir. Those are solidified. The other question now is, do the Bills keep 6 or 7? If they keep 6, then it's between Shorter, Isabella, and Keyshawn Johnson probably. I would more lean towards just Isabella versus Shorter in that situation, just because Isabella also has the return game experience. If they keep 7, then it also becomes a different story. Andy Isabella had a pretty good game yesterday, 3 receptions for 42 yards, all 3 targets he caught. Shakir did have, 2 receptions for 25 yards. I believe he had a drop as well. So that kind of hurts a little bit, but he was making some plays. So what do you think about Shakir and Isabella? And do you think Isabella has a chance to make this roster, whether it's as just a return guy or as a guy that will slide in there every once in a while on certain downs?
Yeah, this is a really interesting topic just because there's so much. It's the position where you keep the most amount. Yeah. And I think that Isabella made a case for himself yesterday. Funny enough, he and Keyshawn Johnson were tied with 3 receptions for 42 yards apiece. Funny how that coincidence happened. But you get the return game aspect with Isabella, and of course with Hines being out for the season, that could play a role in why he might be the the leader to grab one of the last spots here. So I think that Isabella, if he can continue that, once again, we have two more opportunities of evidence in Pittsburgh and Chicago. But again, it's similar to the quarterback. Shakir is not that he would be let go necessarily, but he has the prior experience where some of these other guys don't. So maybe not in a letting go scenario, but do some of these other guys jump Shakir in the depth chart for maybe like the 5, 6, 7 slotting in position. So we'll see what happens. I know Desmond Patton actually hauled in a touchdown as well as Tyrell Shavers. So not your yardage leaders, but some of the guys that scored. So we'll see where they fit into the conversation. I would like to point out, I thought it was funny that you're leading rusher and receiver. So rusher was Jordan Mims and receiver was Keyshawn Johnson. Both come from Fresno State, where, of course, Josh Allen wanted to go, being from Fireball, pretty close to there, but was declining the opportunity and goes to the fellow Mountain West School, Wyoming. I thought that was a pretty neat coincidence. Had to bring it up for my mid-major fandom and guys.
Yeah, that is one of those things where you look at your, if especially if that, like, whenever stuff like that happens, you always kind of just it's not like it's breaking news, but it's just something that you're like, oh, that's, nice little thing that it happens.
Yep.
Being able to see not just Alabama every time leading the
Mm-hmm.
way, or LSU, or whatever big name school has the guys leading the way. So yeah, it is nice to be able to see, some of the smaller schools getting their guys showcasing and showing what they can do. For me, when it comes to the receiving game, though, I just have a tough time seeing how Isabella makes this roster unless they keep 7. Unless they keep 7 receivers, I don't see if he has a spot on this roster. I think that they would rather keep Shorter and not have a situation like Hodgins happen, where they draft this guy, then all of a sudden they say, no, we're going to opt for another signee instead, and then Shorter would go somewhere else. And I know he's going to be a little bit of a project, right? He's not going to be this pure guy right out of the draft that's going to come and put up 500-600 yards as a backup receiver or anything like that. But he's got some promise to him. I think he's got the size. He in college caught everything. It seemed like everything that was thrown his way. It's just he's got to refine that, those route running a little bit, that the agility and the movement, the way that he moves in and out of breaks and everything. So I think I think they would like to keep him as that number 6. And I think Isabella, it's going to come down to is if they can have a number 7. Unfortunately, I don't think a guy like I would bet probably that Keyshawn Johnson he's a practice squad guy, who I would love to see him on the practice squad. If somebody gets hurt, then give him a chance. Yeah. Although I just don't know how much he has a shot to make the actual roster. I just think it's going to be too tough with what they've put in with draft capital. I think they'd rather keep their draft capital guys over a guy that like Keyshawn Johnson, who, yeah, like you said, he made plays yesterday in the preseason game, but at the end of the day, I don't know how much they're going to take into account these types of preseason games when it comes to getting a full-time spot over a guy that they drafted, like I said, with Shorter, or a guy that they, like, especially like Shakir. Like, I don't see them playing over Shakir, so it's going to be tough. And then Isabella obviously has that different aspect where he can return it, which makes it even tougher for Keyshawn Johnson to make this roster over a guy like Andy Isabella. So receiving wise, I think you obviously got the 5 that are set, and then six is going to be that battle, and 7 is going to be a little bit of a battle. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. They got 2 more games, like you said, 2 more games with to go with Pittsburgh and Chicago. We'll see if they can make some noise there. I would imagine you'd see a lot more of Isabella as well now that he had this game, and he looked good, and see him back to return, see what he can do. So receiving battle, that's going to be something. We did, however, have another battle that was going on that it's probably the closest one that they have out of all of them. I mean, there's 2 that are really close in my opinion. It's right guard between Bates and Torrance, which I don't think we'll have an answer to till week 3 of preseason. I think that one you're going to see all the way till week 3. The one that I think we also won't see till week 3, till week 1, but you're kind of, I think, seeing the order go down is cornerback 2. This has been a huge, like, this one's also been talked about a ton. This one actually probably has been talked about more than the quarterback two battle, rightfully so. Who's going to line up across from Trey White, Dane Jackson. Obviously, we know who he is. He's been in Buffalo for a while, and then you got the two young guys going into their sophomore season, Christian Benford and Kyer Elam. Dane Jackson did have an interception yesterday, while Kyer Elam had 3 tackles, 2 solo tackles, and Christian Benford had 3 tackles, all solo tackles as well. So a little bit of a different, difference between all of them. They all play different styles of corner. Obviously you got Kyer who's more of a press man to man guy, where Dane, we've obviously seen him be able to do a little bit of everything. So what is your thoughts on the cornerback two battle? Seems like Dane might be, solidifying himself as that cornerback two, with Kyer, I think, just right behind him, and then Benford right behind Elam. So what do you think of the cornerback two battle? What do you think they will do, and what do you think they should do?
I think the talking point that it brings up is not necessarily right away who would take it, but kind of the non confirmation from Elam that you might have thought based on where we got him, where the Bills got him in the draft last season, where that would be his job to lose. Well, that's not the case. Again, 2 more weeks of a scrimmage tryout, if you want to call it that. But I think right now, I think Dane Jackson would be the front runner. That could change again. He has the interception, but from a lot of evidence that I've seen, I think the main point I would bring up is that this is not Elam's position in the bag that he would contain right now. So I would say it's Dane's right now. We'll see what takes place out in Pennsylvania and Illinois, though.
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think it's Dane's job right now to lose. I think they like knowing that Dane's been in the system for longer than those two, and he's been like I've said it a million times, and I think we both said it, is just he's not a bad cornerback by any means, and people I think give him a little too much. I don't want to say hate, but just a little more too much criticism,
It might
just
be
because he does get beat.
again that name recognition. You have Elam, who was drafted very higher in the first round, and Jackson wasn't a star-studded acquisition. So I think that could be where we see some of that, but we'll see what transpires.
Yeah, and I think once you get to, I believe this is his 4th season in the NFL. I could be wrong on that. It could be his 5th. But like once you get to like that 4, 5, 6 range with a guy in his career, you feel like you've probably seen everything from him, right? You haven't seen. He's not all of a sudden. I mean, he could. Don't get me wrong. He easily could. But I don't think you expect to see a huge jump all of a sudden at year 4, 5, 6, where a guy like Elam or even Benford, they're going into their 2nd season. Why not give them that playing time? Why not put him out there early and still have Dane obviously cycle in here and there, right? Have it be kind of a 3 cornerback cycle, which I think is another thing we could see very easily week 1 is, Dane might be the starting corner, but you'll see them all, get in there, get a little bit of maybe they don't get equal amount of snaps, but a little bit. So it's close. I think we'll be close. I think you might see Dane get to 5-10 more snaps than the other two, where then another week it could be Kyer getting most of the snaps because of just how they want to play that week, or how they want to match up that week. So I'm just like I said, I won't be mad. I said it, I think 2 weeks ago, I won't be mad if Dane Jackson starts week 1. I'd rather see these young guys get the opportunity to show what they can do. And my other point will be, have you ever seen a cornerback really play bad in Sean McDermott's defense? Because I can't think of a corner that I think's played bad with him. I mean, we even had Xavier Rhodes coming in and making plays here and there for the Bills, right? And a lot of people said he was completely washed, and we ended up getting something out of him, right? So I just think when you look at the fact that in a McDermott style defense, cornerbacks usually don't struggle too much, especially when you have two unbelievable safeties back there on top of an all pro cornerback, if fully healthy, across from them. I just think that you got to go with the young guys and get them acclimated fully in this defense, fully with the 2 guys in the secondary, with Trey across from him, Teron in the slot, Taylor Rapp all over the place. So I would just like to see Kyer, mostly Kyer, get some playing time over him. But it will be a battle. It'll be a huge battle the rest of the preseason. weeks going into the regular season. I think it will be a battle throughout the whole season, honestly. I don't think this will be something, like I said, that you'll see and all of a sudden, oh, Dane's got cornerback too, and it's his until he loses it. He's going to play pretty much every snap. I don't think you're going to see that. I just don't. So, cornerback two, that's an interesting battle. It's going to be interesting to see what they do. Obviously, both of us, it seems like we both are going to guess Dane Jackson's going to start week one. Um, but we'll see. We'll see what comes down.
My last
Like
point
you
on
said,
that would be that I hope Elam and Benford get their opportunities. I'm not saying I hope that they get the job no matter what happens, but I hope they get an opportunity to prove themselves in Pittsburgh and Chicago. And again, Dane Jackson too, but I wouldn't want Elam and Benford to lose out on possible showcase opportunities, kind of thing.
Yeah, and it kind of goes back to the point of he. We've seen what Dane can do. We know what Dane can do. Do we need to see him that much in the preseason? Probably not. I mean, honestly, I wouldn't be mad if we don't see him at least even in the third preseason game. We see him in the second, or don't see him in the second, see him in the third, or have Kyer and Benford start game two, and then have Dane come in later in the game to get him some reps. So we'll see what they do. I mean, at the end of the day, I don't think either of us would be mad with what they do at cornerback too. So it's going to be a battle though. A couple guys I just want to point out with statistic wise that kind of stand out when you look at it. Defensively, we got Dorian Williams leading the team in tackles, 7 total tackles, 6 solo tackles, so solid game from him. The other guy I want to bring up though is Boogie Basham. He had a pretty good game yesterday. He had a sack, he had a tackle for loss, he had a QB hit, 3 total tackles. He's making a name, kind of. He's another guy that people have been talking about. Do they trade him? Do they just cut him? That's another guy that I'm really curious to see. And then Saran Neal, he's also a guy that we've talked about that could be a cut candidate. These are all guys that could be. I mean, Dorian Williams is not going to be a cut candidate, but he's fighting for playing time. Where Boogie Basham, Saran Neal are fighting for essentially a roster spot at this point. While Boogie Basham, he was a second round pick, he's been teetering on that hasn't really done too much, at least compared to the other guys on the team on that defensive line. So what do you think of those 3 guys, their games? I mean, Saran Neal did have a pass breakup. If you were listening on like TV or the radio, it seemed like you were hearing his name a good amount, at least on a drive or two. So what do you think of them? And you can even throw in Shane Ray there as well, who only had 1 solo tackle, 3 total tackles. He's another guy that people have been talking about a lot. So what do you think of just those 4 guys, Dorian, Saran, Boogie, and Shane Ray?
Right. Well, I mean, it's great to see Williams at the top of the stat sheet with 7 total tackles there, 6 solo. I know the conversation revolves around him is what was the purpose exactly? Some thought it was to slide right in for Edmonds, but I think we've found out now that's not going to be the case. But in a showcase opportunity like this, it's great to see him be very productive. Saran Neal, 4 tackles. I always bring it up. He's like the first name on the back of a jersey that I see during a punt coverage, where the Bills are when Sam Martin's punting and the team is rushing down to defend. So, but I think him and Boogie Basham, those are some names that you might not have thought right away, but they're going to be bubble guys. We'll see what they can do here. And Shane Ray, he's a story that I'd really love to see make it. I know that a lot of reports have come out of him being pretty impressive in camp more so, not necessarily yesterday's game. So, again, where does that fall in? What does the staff value more, the camp evidence or game action evidence? So, yeah, we'll see. I don't know if I have a solid opinion on, for the trio of Neal, Basham, Ray, if they're going to make it or not quite yet. But I think we'll see what happens in the next 2 games. But I want to say I want to root for Ray to make the roster. I don't know who that'd be sacrificed for, maybe, but he's got a rooting interest in me.
Yeah, I think he's one of those guys where you can't help but root for him, right? He's just got a good story. It's went from being a high profile player right out of college to then kind of going out of the NFL. And then now he's back in it trying to make a team, right? And here he is with it's unfortunate because this team is so deep on the defensive line. I mean, you just go down the list and it's just a million guys, it seems like, that you would be fine with playing out there. even Boogie Basham's one of those guys that he's fighting against for a roster spot. So I think Shane Ray, it's going to be real tough for him to make this roster. I think he's right now on the outside looking in, and he's been that way. And it's just I think he's getting even farther outside the more that Boogie Basham has a game like this, or the more that AJ Epinesa impresses in camp, or whoever it is. It just seems like there's always somebody who's making plays. And while Shane Ray hasn't been, he's been looking good in camp, but I just don't know if it's going to be close to enough to put him over the top to make the final roster. Maybe he does end up being a guy that they try to bring back later in the season or whatever it is, but I just think it's going to be too tough for him. When it comes to Basham, he is the big question mark to me. I could see him getting traded. I could see him getting cut. I could see him staying on the team. Um, and it's a second round pick, right? That's not a guy you want to just cut. It's not a guy you want to just get rid of. But when you look again at this defensive line, if you can get something out of him, you get something out of him. If you can get a fourth round pick out of him, I could see Bean making a move to get rid of him, or even a fifth, or even a sixth. I could see Bean saying, "All right, let's get some draft capital at least for this guy. I don't want to just cut him." You've seen it with Bean a million times, where he likes to make trades right before week one because he'd rather get a little bit of draft capital, even if it is a seventh round pick, just for these guys who he doesn't want to just let go for free. So I think Basham, he's the biggest question mark I think on this defense to see if he makes the team or not, and see what they do with him. So, I mean, I guess it's good for Brandon Beane if they're looking to trade him that he had a good game yesterday. I mean, if you have a sack, tackle for loss, and a QB hit, it looks good on the resume. And at least when you're shopping him, you could say, well, look what he did. I know it's preseason, but look what he's doing right now. He looked good in camp. He can do this for you guys. Maybe he can be a little rotational guy for a sixth round pick. So I think he's going to be a tough guy to really judge until we get closer to week one. Saran Neal, if you would have asked me a month or two ago, I would have said I doubt he makes the team. But now I think that he's a guy that they love. They love him over there. They love their special teams guys. So I think he's a guy that, especially that he showed he can cover a little bit yesterday. He struggled, I know, in the regular season a couple here and there covering, but I think Saran Neal, he's a guy who's pretty much solidifying that he'll make this team again and be that one guy. He'll be the gunner that you'll see right running down, going to get, and whoever it is, returning a punt or returning a kickoff. So some battles, right? There's a lot of things a lot of interchanging things. Next week, I guarantee we're gonna be talking about probably some of the similar guys, but also new guys again that showed out in this preseason game coming up. So there it is. Bills win 23-19. We did get to see also Anthony Richardson for the first time. He had an interception, but he also, made some plays as well. So we can move on though to our history, which that kind of does allude to my history question for you. You did not get last week or 2 weeks ago's question. Unfortunately, you were close. It was Von Miller's. How many sacks did he have coming off of his ACL when he was in Denver? I believe you said 16 and a half, I think. And I think
No, I was a sack and a half under or over, one of the two, but I know that was the margin.
Yeah, you were close. So it was close, but unfortunately, you are 1 for 2 on the questions. You did get the first one. Still can't believe that you ended up getting Lee Smith when I also still can't believe he was listed as a wide receiver. But you're 1 for 2. This week's though, I just talked about they played a rookie quarterback. He's probably going to start week 1 for the Colts. So my question to you is, do you know the last quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, last rookie quarterback to start week 1 for the Buffalo Bills?
I would have to go with, if I think about that for a little bit here. Well, to kind of use some assisted talking thinking, it would not be Allen because I know Nate Peterman started. That was an abysmal game in Baltimore. The rain, the score line. Oh my goodness. I think, was it 47-3? Something along those lines. Oh my goodness. I'll never forget that one.
I'm gonna look it up while you're talking.
Okay. Something about rain games in Baltimore with last year's great result, but then that one too. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. Not good.
So other than that, you know what? I think I have my answer. Maybe I'm a couple years off, but I believe it would be a game that I was at. The Bills were close in winning. They just could not pull it out though against a hated rival. How that was often what happened, either getting blown out or close, but no cigar. I'm going to say, I believe 2013 EJ Manuel versus the Patriots.
Yes, EJ Manuel was the last rookie quarterback to start for the Buffalo Bills. And it is something that, I think if you're a Bills fan, you know it wasn't Allen, but I feel like if you weren't a Bills fan or don't follow the Bills at all, a lot of people would say, a lot of NFL fans would say Allen. But no, and it was 47-3, by the way, that game was. It was a brutal game. But yeah, now it looks like the Bills won't need to worry about starting quarterback for a while, which is positive. But I just had to ask because obviously the Colts are starting a new rookie quarterback after starting 4 years in a row starting a quarterback over the age of 36. It seemed like so now they go from having anybody who's over 36, including I believe Matt Ryan, who was almost 40 or a little less than 40, to now a 22, I believe, 22 or 23-year-old starting quarterback out of Florida, Anthony Richardson. So it's good to see for the Colts they're getting a guy that they can at least maybe say, oh, we might have this guy for the future, instead of saying, oh, we have another guy for 1 year who then he's going to retire because their arm's falling off. So good for Colts fans. I think they're excited for him. I'm excited to see him as well this year. He was a guy I was high on coming out of this draft. If the Bills were looking for a quarterback, he would have been the guy I would have wanted them to go get. But yeah, so you're 2 for 3 now. Got that one. I didn't know if you'd maybe slip up and go with, saying Nate Peterman as a rookie quarterback starting week 1, because I believe he came in, his rookie year was before that, I believe, against, and he was backing up Tyrod, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, but EJ Manuel, last Bills quarterback to start week 1. What do you got though for your HLC's A Day in History? The segment we do every week. I still gotta make like a little intro for it or something. We got to get that going. But what do you got for us?
Well, I'll start off by saying this as a quick aside. So I don't know if we had an episode that came. I was actually over in Kansas City and St. Louis back. It would be about 2 weeks ago now. And why I'm bringing it up is that I actually saw a model, not his jersey, but a model jersey of what Hank Aaron would have worn for the Indianapolis Clowns playing in Offerman Stadium in Buffalo. It was blue with piping down the sides of white and red. So I thought that was pretty neat. Thought I'd bring it up. They actually, funny enough, the one that I saw that would have been getting used was not Aaron's number, but in the Negro Leagues Museum gift shop, they had, I believe it was a number 5, which Hank Aaron wore. I didn't spend $175 on it, but I thought that was pretty cool that they had his number of the Clowns jersey for sale, replicas, of course. But that was really neat. Thought I'd bring it up.
I don't know if I'm lagging or if Hunter's lagging, but we'll need to. Oh, there we go. I think you're good now.
Okay. But for today, I think that we have to go with this one. So on this day in 1960, that should immediately ring a bell. That was, of course, when the Bills came to be as an entity. The AFL Buffalo Bills get their first ever victory, preseason game, as they beat the Denver Broncos. A funny location here, Aquinas Stadium in Rochester. The highlight was quarterback Richie Lucas's weaving 88-yard run from his own goal line to start the second half. So what a play that would have been. So yeah, pretty interesting there. A couple of aspects, I would say. One, the location, playing at a high school football stadium, Aquinas in Rochester. I have to wonder what the capacity was. And then 2, interesting, not so much anymore, but back then, having a preseason game be against the team across the Mississippi there, Colorado. I would have to wonder about the travel costs back then, why it wouldn't have been maybe like the Giants or, I don't know, the Lions. So interesting there. But, I mean, first game ever, not that it was the one that counted, of course, not week 1 regular season, but pretty interesting.
I'm not sure if – I think we're having a little bit of technical difficulties, but I think you cut out just at the end there. But I think most of it was good. But at the end, I don't know if you want to just reiterate the last sentence or two.
No, yeah, it was just talking about how it was really neat to see that was the first victory, even though it wouldn't be what counts for the season. But that's what started us off with a win.
I don't think it might be my connection actually, but We're good. So yeah, there's the HLC's day in history. It's still at from the same, is it from the same Twitter account?
It is, of course, it is. Yep.
And you can go find that, and even also actually go look on. I think did you post it on your Twitter as well? The picture of the jersey.
Yes, I did.
So
Yep.
yeah, go check that out too, everybody. That go check out that and go see what the jersey looks like. 'Cause I did see it, end up I seeing it on your story as well. Seeing you posted about it as well. But there's, I mean, I want to know how also the day in history guy gets these every time. I mean, it just seems like I'm like, how does he have an encyclopedia of this, or what is he? How is he finding all these? Because every day, like I see him every single day. There's 5 in a day too, and it is really awesome to see. So another good one. I mean, again, we've had so many good ones with you. It's unbelievable. So go check out their page. Really go. We love them. We're a huge fan over here.
And it
At
seems as though
Buffalo
their
Sports
DMs
Banter.
are open as well. So if you
Yeah.
feel curious about messaging, no, we'll be curious to see if he or she or they likes to respond, but give it a test for sure.
Yeah, maybe we'll actually reach out and see if they want to come hop on Buffalo Sports Banter, give us a little bit of history. We'll give them some trivia to see what they remember and everything. So, it's another good one that we had today. We will have more to talk about next week with more Bills preseason, Sabres coming up. I believe it's 60 days till Sabres puck drops, and about, I want to say, 30 or less days till Buffalo Bills kick off. Wait, actually,
Well, of course, Sabres preseason
less
is
than
the
30.
same day with the Bills Commanders game
Yeah.
um, at the Capitol. It's funny how that one worked out too. But yes.
So we got a lot coming up. Hopefully we'll have some Sabres news next week too. Maybe little Bills extension talk too. There's been some talks about some players getting extensions as well for the Bills. So could be some extension news here in Buffalo. Some players that are signing on the dotted line just to stay in Buffalo longer. So maybe we'll have that to talk about next week. But Hunter, it's been another great episode. Buffalo Sports Banter. We again appreciate all you guys coming out and listening and supporting, especially Built in Buffalo, supporting Built in Buffalo in general. Hunter, got any last words before we get out of here?
Not too much other than it was great to see the campaign start off with a W yesterday, even though it doesn't count in the long run. We'll see what can go on tomorrow. And you know what? I'll end it with this. I know the Baltimore Ravens extended their preseason win streak to 20 something. I might be in the range of 25. So we'll see what if the Bills could do anything similar to that. I don't. It would be only one because I know they lost last year in Carolina, but we'll see how far it can go.
Yeah, and there's also a reminder, I guess, a good reminder to people that preseason games, at the end of the day, as much as it is fun to win, the Ravens have not won a Super Bowl during this streak of winning 20 whatever games of preseason in a row. So it in reality does not, I think, matter. And I believe 2 out of the last 3 Super Bowl winners actually went 0-3 in the preseason. So we'll see what goes on with the rest of the preseason. It's always fun though to win. Everybody loves to see a win. But yeah, thanks again for everybody tuning in. It's another episode of Buffalo Sports Banter brought to you by Built in Buffalo. Please go check out all the other videos that they got going on, the other live shows. Everybody does a great job there, and the articles over at the website. You can see that link on the Built in Buffalo Twitter. You can go check us out there. Just type in builtinbuffalonews.com. I believe that is the handle. But yeah, go check it out. They got some good articles going there from Daniel and Peter's got some good ones dropping, and they all got some great ones dropping. So be sure to check those out. We're dropping pretty much daily now with the articles. So go check that out, and we'll be back again next week. It's been another fun one, Hunter. As always, it's been a pleasure, and we will see you guys next week. And go Buffalo.